Hi, I'm back from houseimprovements.com, and today I'm going to show you how to lay vinyl flooring. So one of the first things we're going to do is have to prep the floor. If you want to see us putting down the actual underlay, you can check out our video on that. We've already got it. That's what this product is right here. So that's over top of the plywood that was the subfloor. So it's all down, fastened down. Basically, one of the first things we have to do is float the floor out with some patching compound. And that's just to fill in any little imperfections where you've either hammered in using nails. You should have left a little bit of a divot. So there'll be low spots for those. You don't want that to show through your vinyl. Skimming over the joints and any little imperfections like that. It doesn't take a lot of patch to do it, but it just needs a quick skim over. So before we do that, we'll also vacuum the room out so we aren't getting any little chips of slivers of wood or anything like that in it, stones. So I've got to mix it up. I'm going to run around the room, just quickly skim it out. Probably going to get all kinds of comments that you're not supposed to use a concrete or cement type patch on this type of product. Yeah, on the bag it says not to do that. Most of us do it. There really isn't any other product out there I know to do this type of job this well, so that's what we all use. It seems to work, so we're going ahead with it, but the manufacturer has stated on their bag not to use it. But anyways, I just thought I'd get that out of the way because somebody's going to come on the comments and complain about me using it. But so I'll mix up a batch and I'll just show you. I'll just trowel it out quickly on the floor here. I fastened my floor down, my underlay down with staples. So it really doesn't leave much of a, there's just a small slit there where the staple went in. Probably not really necessary to use this, but I just want to show you what you would normally have to do if you nailed it down with ring nails and had some imperfections. So I'll mix up a batch and spread it out and get it on here. Okay, so we've put some of the cement powder that I'm using from the product in this pail. It's not the normal pail I would use, but it's what I've got. Just adding some water, and we don't need a whole lot for this size of room, so I'm not going to use a power mixer or anything. It's going to take a little bit to get it mixed up here. You want a fairly runny consistency. A little more water. So just follow the directions on the bag as far as the ratio and fine tune it from there. Just takes a minute. Just kind of work. You can see you get a few dry lumps in there, so just work them out against the side of the pail. So you hopefully don't have too many of them in your final product. And this stuff usually takes, depending on if you have any real heavy spots or not, but usually within a couple hours it's dry enough to actually put your flooring on over top of. So okay, so I think I'm pretty good right there. So you can see sort of the consistency I have. It's pretty runny, and because it dries fairly quickly, you want to kind of get it mixed up and get at it so that it isn't setting up in your pail. It dries actually very hard. So I'm just going to pour some out on the floor, and then I'll just use my bigger trowel to move it around. Like I said, I probably got just about double what I really need mixed there. I'm just going to skim the whole area. I put tape along the tub just to kind of protect the tub. And you're just trying to rub it into any of the spots where you've got fasteners or dips and dives. So I'm really not trying to leave a layer on there. You can see I'm pretty well squeezing it off. I'm just putting on enough to fill in the low spots and taking off the excess. You want to get it as smooth as you can, otherwise those little bumps aren't helping you any because they're just going to show through. Heavier the vinyl you have, the better coverage you have for not showing any little problems. I'm probably not seeing most of this just because of me being in the way. Just work it out as you go, working your way out of the room. So you kind of get the idea there, what I've got. So you're just skimming over and filling in any of the little imperfections that there might be. Like so. So we just got to let that sit. Okay, so we spread our patch, and we've come back now a couple hours later and it's all dry. So what we need to do is just go around the room and just look for any little ridges, you know, from the end of the trowel or little lumps or anything. Just take something and just kind of shave it down a little bit. There's a little spot there, a little bit there. So just kind of getting rid of some of the little ridges that were left behind. There usually isn't too many. We'll just kind of scrape those off, vacuum the whole room up. We're going to talk a little bit about cutting the actual vinyl, and then we can get it laid out in the room here and cut fit. Okay, so we've got our chunk of vinyl flooring here. You know, for a small room, you might buy a roll end or whatever. Anyways, you're going to go somewhere and buy some flooring. You don't want to leave it rolled up in the roll if you can help it, right up to the time you want to use it, because it tends to, you know, most of it tends to have a little bit of a memory, and it'll stay curled up a little bit, and it'll just give you some trouble. You can see even this one's a little bit still on the ends. Try to find a place that you can roll it out where it can sit and acclimatize to the house and just relax a little bit out of the rolled shape that it was in. I've got it laying here in another room. We took some of the scrap subfloor or underlayment just to kind of work on so we can cut. What I've done, I've already sized it to what I wanted for the width and the length of the basic shape of the room. Now what you're going to want to do is measure your room, get your actual dimensions, but when you first trim it, you trim it a little bit bigger than what you really want. So in this case, I went an inch bigger in width and length, so that once I get it in the room, I can kind of get it, you know, squared up to the tub, the wall, just in case things aren't quite square, and then you can still trim it when it's laying there in the room up against the edge. So unless you're really confident the room is square and everything's going to line up, I wouldn't cut it completely right to size. So this one's cut. I've got an extra inch of width, extra inch of length. What I do need to cut though is we've got a jog here where there's a closet cut out, and I'm going to need to cut that. And again, I'm cutting it, you know, if this measurement was actually in the room measured 24 by 24, let's say, I'm going to only go 23 inches wide, just so it actually curls up onto the edge of the wall again, so just so we can fit it. So I've just stuck some tape onto the areas where I want it to mark, and I've got it all marked out already. I'm going to use a straight edge. In this case, I'm using my level. I'm going to put it on my lines, and actually you're better off to, I probably got this so you can't see now, but you're better off to put whatever you're using as a straight edge or a guide on the good side of the floor. So if your knife waves off or follows a crack or something, it cuts out into this area that we're throwing away anyways. So you're kind of using your straight edge to protect. So I'm just lining it up with the marks. Really simple. I'm using a sharp utility knife, and I'm just going to make a nice clean cut all the way along there. And most of these floorings, it doesn't take a whole lot to cut through them. I'll do the same thing here, right along there. Now, something I didn't talk about when you're cutting your rough size, like the rough dimension of your sheet, is if you've got a bit of a pattern in there, like this is simulated tiles, right? I tried to lay it out so that my tiles are balanced. So I'm hopefully going to have an equal size row against this wall as I will over here on this wall. Same at the two ends. It's not necessary. It generally looks better, but you just try to take into account your pattern that you've got in the room as well. So now I realize we've got some plumbing. We've got the hot air register hole and that sort of thing sticking out of the floor in there as well. We're not going to cut any of that until we actually get this in the room and get a good idea where we need it to be. You could, but you're taking a chance of something not lining up. So you're better off to cut when you can, cut all that stuff right in the room. So I'm going to now basically roll this up, and I think I'm going to roll it this way so I can take it in the room, roll it out, and jostle it around a little bit, get it straightened out to where we kind of want it to sit, figure out where we're happy with it, and then from that point we can do the final trimming and cut out the holes in that, and then we'll actually show you how to glue it down. So I'm going to roll this up so that I can get it into the other room a little bit easier. So it'll just depend on the shape of your room, the length of your roll and stuff. You just figure out which way it's going to be easiest way to manage it going into the room. On a thinner vinyl, when you're rolling it like this, you want to just be careful right at that corner that it doesn't tear or something. This stuff here is pretty good. Something else too, wherever you roll it out, you want to be fairly clean. So, sweep your floor or whatever, so you don't get a bunch of crap stuck on the back here. That's going to create little bumps or lumps underneath it once you get it in the room where you want it. So I'm going to take it in there and get it rolled out into place. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this into the room, get it laid down where we kind of wanted it. And again, like I said, it's going to be slightly oversized. We pulled off that toilet flange that was there that wasn't glued on, just to make it easier to work around. And I'm just kind of sizing up how everything's looking. So I'm seeing how it's fitting along this one long wall and compared to the front edge of the tub there. So I can do a little adjusting. Just kind of shifting it around. So it just takes a little bit of time to just do some playing right off the start. Now you're going to be putting a bead of silicone in between here, between the tub and the end of the vinyl. So it's not necessary that it's a completely super tight fit, but we want it to definitely be pretty close. So again, I'm just playing around here a little bit to get it to the point where I'm reasonably happy with how it's laying. So you can see here, because I'm oversized, I'm trying not to rub this corner too much. The baseboard will cover some of that. But because it's cut oversized, we got a little bit of friction happening there because it doesn't want to lay right down. I think I'm pretty happy right now that I'm going to be nice against this wall, and I'm pretty happy with the squareness to the tub. So now I can kind of work my way along and make it actually fit to the room. So I'm going to sit on the vinyl so that I'm trying to hold it down so it doesn't move too much from where I've got it there, and start to make some little adjustments here as far as cutting it to fit the actual walls. So I'm going to make a little cut there so it'll fold. And I'm trying not to rub on the walls too much. There'll be a vanity sitting here, so I'm not too worried about that corner getting scuffed up a little bit. I didn't cut it as big oversized this way as I thought I did, but it fits, so I'm happy. So you can see here I've got a jog here to cut around So I'm just gently bending that down there, and even if I have to cut it twice, I want to make sure if anything, I'm cutting it a little bigger than it needs to be, or like this piece longer, so that I can always trim a little bit more off if I'm not happy with the fit. It's just so happened the drywall's up high enough here that I've got a little extra room there to work with as well. And this can be a little bigger because the door jamb will sit in there. So that'll sit down there nice. And do the same thing here, because again I've got a bit of a jog, so I'm just folding it up a little bit and kind of easing it into that corner until I kind of find where I want to cut it. And in most of these spots along here, you're going to have some baseboard as well that gives you a little bit of forgiveness, because it's going to cover the edges if you happen to cut it a hair short or something. So it was a bit long the first time. I'm going to cut it down again. Up here with that, a little bit more here. There are specific knives for vinyl, knives. Kind of got a hook blade on them that you can use. I find a regular utility knife with a good blade in it usually works just as well. So now we're happy there. We're kind of working our way across the room here. Now this is the side of the room where we had a few things sticking up out of the floor. Again, right here, because it's under the vanity and the vanity's sitting right down on the floor, I'm not too worried about making this real fancy. This one here, a little different issue. It does have a trim ring around it, but I still need to get in around there and just make a nice clean cut at the back so I can fold things back together there and seam it up, and it'll be all right. Like I said, these two here, I'm not too worried about them, so I'm going to just make a rough cut. Actually, here's a good thing to maybe show you. If you see how this has kind of come right down into a corner there, it's when I wasn't really paying attention, it almost got a bit of a crease in it. Now in our case, this will be hidden, so it's not a big deal. But what happens, if I can get it to fold back, and this vinyl's good enough, it didn't really do it, but sometimes if I just do this, you'll get a crack like that, and you don't want that out in the middle of your room, because that's going to show through over a bit of time. It's going to want to wear there. So you need to be a little careful that it's just nice gradual bends. You're not getting a real kink in it, other than in places where you know it really isn't going to matter. So I'm just going to make a generous cut around these things, these water lines, because I know they don't have to be perfect in this spot here, so they'll never be seen after. And you might still have your vanity right in place, so you'd be fitting around your vanity. The less things you have to fit around, the better. So in this case, we're putting a new vanity in, so why not do the floor first and then have the vanity in the way, or do it before the vanity's in the way, I should say. So you can see I'm kind of working around that corner. I'm just kind of letting it curve up against the wall, and then I'll just look back there, kind of decide where I need to cut it. I'm going to make a bit of a cut, trimming away as I go. Same thing going that way. If it happens to be a little bit longer than I need, I can always trim it again. I don't want to trim it too short. So get this section out of the way. Actually, that's a pretty nice fit. I got a little bit of binding right here. Try to get this cut a little bit more here. You want a little bit of space. You don't want it right up tight against anything if you don't have to be. Again, there'll be baseboard all around here, so it'll hide any little things. So we're pretty good along that edge. We're just going to keep making our way across here. And now we're going to have to do something with this here. So this one we need to be pretty decent. We do have this ring on there that'll kind of cover up some. So I'm going to make a little bit of a cut right where the pipe's going to be. Bring this up where I can see it. I'm going to cut a bit of a circle out right where the pipe is coming up through the floor. It's not cooperating fully with me. So if that was a pipe just like this, I could probably get it up and down and around that, but it isn't. What I need to do is now just make a nice clean straight cut right back to my hole right from the wall. So when I fold it around, all that valve and everything just closes up nicely, hopefully again. It would be better if that cut was in this fake joint. It would hide better, but it doesn't line up there right now. So just going to make a nice clean straight cut. Right down to the hole. So now I can just pull this back a little bit and fold this flap over out of the way. Now because we aren't cut right to length, I've got to curl it back up the wall a little bit until we can get it to length. It's kind of one I need to tuck right under. There we go. Like that. Just make sure things haven't moved on you. So now I can go along, cut it to the wall, and once I get it laying down there, you'll see how that little seam that I just made there looks. So again, I'm just kind of feeling my way along there, getting the best fit I can to the wall, hopefully. Same thing here. Push it down in close without actually kinking it. Probably a little bit short there, but the baseboard will cover that. So you can see we do have some space here, so it will tuck under if it's a hair long. I actually cut it here a little bit short. My baseboard's about 5/8 of an inch thick, I think, so, and this deviation there is about 1/4 inch, so I should be okay. That'll cover that. Now you can see how this seam back there, once I get it glued and flattened out, I don't even know if you can see it in the picture. It's right there. There's the cut there. But it lays down pretty nice, and then this ring sits down on the floor. And it'll cover that all up. I just have one little cut here where it meets the tub. And we've got a little bit of a friction spot back here as well. So if I can get this to roll up where I can get a hold of it. Just there's a bit of a curvature in the bottom edge of the tub there. Just a little bit there. Try not to lose any of those little cut-offs underneath there. Okay, so we've got that all cut around there pretty good. I'm not going to cut the heat vent right now, which is right here. I'm going to wait till I have it glued down, because it seems like a lot of times when you roll this stuff up and glue it and get it all rolled back out again, it might move just slightly, so I like to cut that last once it's all glued down. So I'm going to get these bits of scrap out of here, and I'm going to get my glue and my trowel. Now just follow your manufacturer's recommended glue or wherever you buy the flooring from, they'll know what kind of glue you should be using. Some of these floors now, they actually don't have any glue, so they're glueless. You just lay them out flat and let them sit. I've used a few of them. They seem to work all right. You wouldn't think so, but they seem to stay where they're supposed to. And some people, again, even on a floor like this, they might just glue the perimeter as well and leave the middle sitting. I tend to glue the whole area. Okay, one thing we did forget to do was cut out where the toilet flange was. I just about forgot about it. So you can see I can feel where it is here. And the actual flange when it goes down is way bigger than the hole in the floor, so we've got a little bit of leeway there. So I can make a couple cuts here to get an idea where the hole is. And just be careful not to slip and go wild. It would suck to get to this point and have to pull it all out and start over. So I'm just cutting some little tabs off of there. Don't drop any down the hole. Now that I can see the pipe, I can get it cut right out to what I want. Come on. Okay, so we got that roughly cut out. And like I said, you can see how much bigger the flange itself is than the hole. So we've got a little bit of play there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I need to pull all this out from underneath the pipes and everything. Roll it back a little bit out of the way. So I'm just going to pull this back like so. And just have a quick look, make sure no little pieces of wood or piece of flooring or anything got underneath there while you were doing that. And what did I do with my trowel? Did I fold it under the floor or what? I didn't bring it in the room. Oh, this would be in my back pocket. So I've got my trowel. I'm just using this little plastic cheapie. So read on your pail, get the appropriate notch size that you need for the type of flooring and glue you're using. Bring this over so you don't slop. Yes, this is a very massive big pail of glue. I'm not going to need hardly any of that. And just simply start spreading it out. A little bigger trowel would have been a little quicker today, but this is what I've got to work with. So I'm just spreading some glue there. Try not to leave any huge ridges, just leave behind what the trowel is supposed to leave behind. Okay, so I've got that on there. I'm going to move this bucket. And I'm going to just kind of slowly press this back in there. You're just trying to work it along so you're not trapping any air bubbles under there if you can help it. So usually kind of start in the middle here. And I don't know if you can see, I'm just using my hand to press it down into the glue. Just kind of work it along there. Now we've got this tricky spot here that we need to get down and under all this stuff. Like that. So I'm just pushing any glue or any air pockets that might have been under it. I'm pushing out to an edge, working them out. That. Watch if you get the glue on your fingers that you aren't just smearing it all over the finished side of your flooring now. A little bit there. I don't think you can probably see that on the video, but I had an air bubble there that I was pushing out right to the side. Okay, so we've got that side all pressed in nice and firm. Make sure this joint is sitting down in there. Like that. Just get around the flange. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this other side of the room. Roll the floor back, spread the glue out, and roll it into there. It's a little trickier as we go, depending on the shape of your room, because you start to run out of room to have the flooring rolled back out of the way. So as I'm rolling it, I'm trying not to get any kinks in it, like I was showing you before. We'll get that area glued, and then I'll get up underneath this edge here. Again, just kind of look for chunks of any foreign material that you might have got kicked in underneath there. I wish I would have had a bigger trowel. Most of these glues do have a bit of a flash point, so you've got a fair bit of time to work with them, but you need to get the flooring down sooner than later, so the glue doesn't start to dry and skim over. So I'm getting right back underneath there to where we left off with the last bunch. Okay, so I'm going to roll this into there. Again, I'm just working it along, trying to make sure I don't get any air trapped. If you're doing a really big area, you may want to rent a flooring roller, which you would just run over this whole area to press it down. I think they weigh 100 pounds or something like that. Presses it into the glue. A rolling pin or a laminate roller works really good too on smaller areas like what we have here. Just getting it pushed in good with my hand. Bit of an air bubble there. Just pushing that out to the side. Okay, I'm going to go and roll that outside flap back because some of it I didn't get glued. And just finish gluing this up. It also makes it easier if it's the time of year when your air conditioning or your central air or your central heat might be kicking in. Just turn your thermostat down or off or whatever so it doesn't kick in. Because if it kicked in, it just ends up putting some air pressure up against that bottom there where we haven't cut it out yet. And it could force some air in under your floor, and then you just have to work it out again. Yeah, I did get a little bit on my shirt. So I'm just going to come in here. I want limited foot traffic, but I've got to come in here to cut this off. You can feel it with your hand. I'm just going to plunge in with my knife. I'm just holding the knife blade straight, just running it over till I hit the end. I'm just trying to find the edges of the opening. Okay, so there's the two ends. Do the same thing going each way. That. Just watch, that could have some glue on it. just trim your opening out to whatever you need. And then your grill will just fit right in there after you're done. Okay, so something like that will work. Okay, so I'm just going to wash my hands, and then I'm going to press everything down really good, and then we'll do a wrap up. Okay, so I'm just making sure I've got all the air bubbles pushed out, and I've got the glue or the vinyl pushed down solidly into the glue, making good contact. Again, like I said, if you have a roller or even a rolling pin, that would work good for here, for doing this. If you have a bigger room, you definitely want to rent that bigger roller. Okay, I think we're pretty good. So yeah, the glue is, well, I guess it depends on which one you buy. The glue is, this particular one is like a low Vox, so there isn't a lot of smell to it. When it's still fresh, it's warm water, a little bit of soap will generally clean it up. Once it dries, they recommend some solvent usually. So if it dries on the flooring or whatever and you're going to use solvent, just be careful that the solvent doesn't hurt your floor. So basically all that we'd have to do once this has a chance to dry, I don't know what the heavy foot traffic on this particular glue is, but usually overnight anyways. Then I would remove that tape, run a bead of silicone in this little bit of space we have there towards the tub just to seal that up so no moisture gets under there. Heat vent goes in, and we can do the toilet and all that other stuff. So I think we pretty much covered everything I can show you with the vinyl floor install. Main thing is just getting it prepped up right. Make sure your underlayment's clean and flat, and yeah, get it cut and laid in there. So hopefully you found this helpful, and there's some other helpful tips on our forum and on our website, so you can go there and check that out. And we have lots of other DIY type projects for you to watch on our YouTube channel as well. Thanks a lot.